الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, brothers and sisters. You're watching a brand new episode of Ask Eman, live on Eman Channel. I'm your host, as always, this Friday evening, Hisham, and I'll be with you here today to take you through the program, inshallah, and to facilitate the option, to give you the option and the ability to ask questions pertaining to Islam. As always, we have an interactive Q&A program, which means that if you have any questions if you have any questions pertaining to Islam and you'd like to have them answered and clarified, then all you need to do is pick up your phones and call us on 020351507757. We have always our WhatsApp number at the bottom of your screen below for catering for the brothers and sisters in the UK and, of course, especially outside of the UK, so you can call us and message us, inshallah. And finally, we are streaming on YouTube, which is our social media handle, so make sure you subscribe to all the content that we have. And this broadcast now is being telecasted live on YouTube. And if you'd like to ask any questions from YouTube, all you need to do is submit your questions and write your questions into the comment section below. Inshallah, we'll get through as many questions as time permits. Remember, today we have a slightly shorter show because of Maghrib creeping in before 9 p.m. So we'll get through the show as swiftly as possible, which means you have one slight less chance to have your questions answered. So don't delay and pick up your phones and call us right away, inshallah. With that being said, we'd like to introduce our Sheikh and our guest for today. Is none other than our dear Sheikh Shaqur Rehman, Hafidhullah. Jazakallah Sheikh for being with us here today.
Jazakallah khair.
How's our Sheikh's week been thus far?
And the summer holidays are always a busy time, so that would be the norm. But subhanallah, you look around the Muslim world right now as well with everything that's going on. I think the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh has dominated the news and therefore has dominated the conversations between Muslims. And even today, we've had the Salatul Ghaib in Turkey, and we've had it in Pakistan and some other places as well. So people asking questions about Salatul Ghaib, praying the Janazah prayer for a deceased person without the body being present. So I think the conversations still, and rightly so, with over 300 days now of the genocide in Palestine by the Zionist entity Israel, the conversations are still focused on that area, and quite rightly so, with the suffering of the Muslims there. And the conversations amongst Muslims and non-Muslims alike have been about the assassination, not only in Iran of Ismail Haniyeh, but also the one in Beirut as well. So conversations are going on and people are busy with children. So you have the global issues being spoken about by Muslims everywhere, and then you have the personal issues because the world has their kids at home right now during the summer holidays. So a busy time for everybody.
Khair, inshallah. And regarding Janazah, the Al-Ghaib, the one where the body of the mayyit isn't there, how is it performed and should it be performed for everyone?
So this is a question that the scholars look at, and they don't recommend it for everyone. So the people that they mention that it should be prayed upon, for a person from the Muslims, for a Muslim who's passed away and no one else was able to pray on them, that's one of the categories that they allow the salah to be prayed on. A significant Islamic figure is another category that they allow it for. So these are the two main categories that the scholars allow this prayer. And you'll find that the Muslims around the world have been unanimously praying for Ismail Haniyeh. And therefore, Muslims all praying is definitely a good sign for the end of any believer. anyone who the Muslims pray upon unanimously like this. You had it prayed in Iran, you had it prayed in Turkey and Pakistan, etc. So this would be a huge, great sign for the person as they meet Allah. That's what the scholars say concerning this issue of Salatul Ghaib.
Khair, inshallah. And how does the Salatul Janazah differ to the normal Salah? And how should it be prayed? How should it be performed?
It's exactly the same as a normal Janazah prayer. So as we know, as the Janazah prayer, the prayer is prayed standing up. There is no ruku', there is no sujood. And in the Salah, there are 4 takbirat. Okay, 4 takbirat in this Salah. And those are the main things that one would notice and adhere to. And then you have, like the normal janazah, in the normal janazah, the body is in front of the imam. And for a man, the imam would stand at the head of the deceased. And for a woman, the imam would stand halfway down the body. He would stand in the middle of the deceased. And the imam would lead the salah. So in this case, there is no body. So the imam will stand in his place in front of the lines, the rows, and the imam would still perform the prayer exactly the same, raising his hands to say the takbiratul ihram, and then he would start by reading the thana or subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, this dua that we begin our prayers with, the opening supplication. Then some scholars say that you should read Surah Al-Fatiha as well. So that would be done. And then the Imam would say Allahu Akbar after the Surah Al-Fatiha. And then the Imam would read Allahumma salli, likewise those who are praying behind him. And then the Imam would say Allahu Akbar again. And then the dua of the deceased would be made. And there's various different du'as one can make there. And then the 4th takbirah would be given, Allahu Akbar. And then after that, there is the salam, as we have normally in our salah. And that concludes the Salatul Janazah. A short prayer, all standing up, no bowing, no prostrating. And the movements are very slight. And this salah, the Salatul Janazah, as we know, can even be prayed in the graveyard. Okay, so you will find that Salatul Janazah sometimes, the body is brought to the graveyard and the Janazah is prayed just before the burial. And it's something I think we spoke about last week when we spoke about my uncle who passed away, rahimahullah. So that is the Janazah Salah in a nutshell.
Khair. And, okay, we have a caller, inshallah. We'll go straight to the caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Live and Ask Eman, what's your name, what's your question, and where are you calling from?
Alaikum salam. My name is Noordin, I'm from London. My question is regarding a cream called Balmond. It's for specifically for people who are prone to eczema. So one of the ingredients on here is cannabis sativa hemp seed oil. We've only noticed the ingredients literally a couple days ago, and my niece have been using it. So we're just wondering if it's permissible to use this. And if wudu is valid and if salah is valid and stuff, if you use this cream. Just want to get your opinion on that.
Sure, and it's hemp oil, right, in the cream you mentioned?
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. It's called cannabis sativa hemp seed oil.
Okay, khair. Okay, inshallah. And do you have any other questions for us, brother?
No, that was the only one.
All right, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for calling in. We'll go straight to your question now, inshallah. Sheikh, eczema cream.
So in terms of creams, so as long as a cream does not have something in it from animal products, okay, animal products would make something, animal products that have not been slaughtered in the Islamic way, that would make the thing impure. So the ingredient would not be pure. So therefore, it would contaminate the other ingredients and the whole thing would be impure. So if it doesn't have impurities, and it's not something that you're consuming, it's something that you're putting on your skin, okay, and it's not made from something that is going to is not going to make you impure. There would be no harm in putting something like that on. So, when it comes to ingredients of creams that we're putting on, that's the first thing you're going to be looking at. Does it have animal products in it? The pig, for instance, the pork or any part of the pig is not allowed for Muslims to use, and therefore would not be allowed. And even if it comes to other animal products, parts of an animal that are used in a product that has not been sorted Islamically, that wouldn't be allowed to be used as an ingredient because it would cause impurity of that product. Now, other than that, as long as using it does not intoxicate as well, that'd be another thing. But that doesn't apply to any of this. So, in that sense, if there's nothing that makes it impure, then it will be fine to use, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakumullah Sheikh. We pray that answer the question, brother, inshallah. As always, of course, remember to seek counsel from your doctor, from your dermatologist, whoever it may be, inshallah. But Islamically, it seems okay. We're going to our break now, brothers and sisters. We're back in a few minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. Keep calling in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Sheikh, what's the deal with Anjum Chowdhury? Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya hayyu ya qayyum bi rahmatika astaghith fala takilni ila nafsi tarfat 'ain wa aslih li sha'ni kullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters, viewers at home and elsewhere watching the second part of today's episode of Ask Eman live on Eman Channel. We are live from our London studio, joined by our dear Sheikh Shaqur Rehman, hafidhahullah. And we've been able to answer your questions, brothers and sisters, in the first part of this program. And alhamdulillah, we'll continue to do so, inshallah. Again, a friendly reminder, inshallah, that due to Maghrib coming in before 9 p.m., today's episode will consist only of 3 segments. So today, we're in our second segment right now, and then obviously we have one more left, inshallah. So just like the brother who called in and asked his question before, don't delay, inshallah, as we have a slightly shorter program today, inshallah. With that being said, inshallah, we'd like to remind the brothers and sisters that if you'd like to take part in today's program, all you need to do is call us on 0203 5150757. Alternatively, you can reach us and call us, message us, however you wish to do so, through the WhatsApp number at the bottom of your screen below. This line is dedicated especially for those who are outside of the UK who can't call us, obviously, on the UK landline. And finally, we are live streaming and being broadcast now on our YouTube platform, and you can watch the live broadcast there. And if you want to ask any questions, you all need to do is submit them into the comment section below. Inshallah, we'll get through as many as time permits. Okay. With that being said, Sheikh, we'll continue the program. We were speaking about the funeral prayer without the actual mayyit, without the actual body being present. Now, I wanted to ask our Sheikh, are there any hadith or is there any authentic evidences to say that if such and such people, such and such meaning if 40 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, if they pray over the deceased, that they'll be admitted into Jannah, or there's any benefits for the dead person?
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. Yeah, clearly the hadith point to the fact that 40 people who worship Allah alone, yani Muslims who worship Allah alone, pray over a person, then that is the doorway for that person to enter Jannah. Okay, so this is known by the Muslims. This is the view of the jurists, because of the Prophet ﷺ's statements about this issue. At the end of one's life, the scholars, when they look at this issue, they judge a person's life and the end of a person by the attendance of the janazah salah. And this is something that we need to keep in our minds. You know, and even in modern day, you know, like the self-help books, for instance. You know, those books like, these are the principles for a highly effective person, the habits of highly effective people, etc. Things like that. Those self-help type books, management or leadership type books, and tools, etc. They talk about visioning from this angle as well. You know, how would you like to view yourself in those last moments or after your death? What would you like to be said about you? And the scholars from the past, they viewed those final moments, your janazah salah, as an indication of the whole of your life. Okay, that is the seal. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, you know, if the Muslims view something to be good, then that is good. Yeah, if the jama'ah of the Muslims as a body, yeah, if they agree on something, this is what Allah is pleased with. So they used to say, yani, the final end, your janazah, is an indication about your whole life. So if you see a multitude of people at the janazah of somebody, then it's a clear indication of the acceptance of Allah for that person. And if you see very few people at a person's janazah, then obviously that is the opposite. Okay, and a very bad indication for the end of that person. So these are things that are known, agreed upon by the jurists, and it gives us an idea of how to develop our own vision. What would we like to see in those last moments of our lives? How many people would we like to see at our janazah prayer, making dua for us, wishing us well in those last few moments, and paying their condolences to the family? And on top of that, what would we like for them to say about us in their conversations after that we have passed away? And the only way to achieve a large janazah and good statements about you is by actually serving humanity as a whole. You find, who are those people that we remember today many, many years after they have passed away? It's those people who have touched the most hearts, brought the greatest benefit for the Muslims or humanity at large. They're always people who stood for something greater than themselves, greater than their kith and kin. They stood for something that everyone could connect with and brings benefit to a whole society, rather the whole world. So when you see a huge mass of Muslims praying for someone, then it's only because they stood for something good in the sight of Allah, and therefore they touch the hearts of people. And Allah knows best.
Khair, okay, inshallah. We have a question now on this matter. Is it haram to talk about worldly matters during the burial? And perhaps our Shaykh can just touch upon general, other general sort of etiquettes around the burial when visiting the deceased, the family of the deceased, and so on, inshallah.
Now, talking about the dunya at the janazah, or during the movement from the janazah salah to the graveyard. And this is what always happens, you know. When you go to any janazah, it's a reflection of human beings, and it's a reflection of life in general. You go to the janazah, normally the janazah prayers in the masjid, and it's straight after one of the obligatory prayers. So people have just prayed. When they're walking down to the janazah, and you see it, you know, go to any masjid, you'll see it. If, like in my local masjid, we have the main hall, which is upstairs, okay? And then you have the basement area, and the janazah is prayed in the basement area. So you've just prayed your obligatory salah. People, and this is the nature of human beings, we haven't seen each other for a long time. So after the obligatory prayer, you meet people, you see people who have come for the janazah that you haven't seen for a long time. So you greet those people. And then if you're from the family of the deceased, they give condolences or you receive condolences. But if you're not from the family who are directly affected, you just come for the janazah, you'll see them catching up before the janazah salah. Okay, so these are all dunyawi things that people are speaking about. Then they go downstairs or they go to the janazah and they pray over the deceased. This obviously is very solemn, it's very quiet, and everyone's focused on the prayer. As soon as the prayer finishes, everyone turns and they leave. It's very quick, you know, people turn and they leave. They were praying for the deceased and the prayer took what? Only a few minutes? It doesn't even take 5 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. A long janazah salah is 5 minutes. Okay, and it's done. And then people are walking away, and most people are speaking about their businesses, what they're doing, things that are going on, etc. They're speaking immediately. So this continues, and they've turned away and they've walked, and then they make their way to the graveyard, and then those conversations are happening until the body comes, and they're moving the body to the grave itself. And then the grave, the body is being lowered. Most people, during the lowering of the body into the grave, they're silent at that time. And they have that awe of the death itself at that moment. But while the body was just moving from place to place and they were just gathered around, they would be talking about dunyawi things, even in the cemetery with all the graves there. Then the burial happens, and the dirt is put in the grave, and the grave is finished. Then they make dua, facing the Qibla, they make dua, and then they walk away. And then when they're walking away, those conversations start again. So the dunya is always on our lips because this is our nature. We forget, even when we're at the graves that are meant to remind us of death and we're seeing the reality of it, this is the end of a human being. The conversations never stop about the dunya. It's because we are so attached and we forget so easily. We're in the situation of a funeral and we're talking about dunyawi things, we're busy in life. The reality is, when you die, your loved ones will cry over you for a couple of days, couple of moments, and then you're forgotten, for most people.
Khair. Jazakallah Sheikh. Brothers and sisters, we pray that it's a reminder for us and allows us to reflect upon the reality and the destroyer of all pleasures, which is death. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the best of endings. Ameen. And with that being said, inshallah, we are approaching the second break of today's program, inshallah, which means that we'll have one more segment, again, just as I mentioned before, due to Maghrib coming in slightly earlier. So one more segment, inshallah. You can keep calling us throughout the break and having your questions ready. We'll see you in a few moments' time. Don't go anywhere. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Welcome back, my dear brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You are watching the last segment of today's episode of Ask Eman. You might be wondering why last segment. It's because we have Maghrib approaching, fast approaching rather. So due to that, we have a slightly elongated segment for this one. But again, we're not going to have a full segment as we normally do, inshallah. So if you'd like to take part in today's show and ask Sheikh Shaqur Rehman your questions, all you need to do is call us on 0203 515 0757. Alternatively, you can call us and message us on the WhatsApp number provided to you below at the bottom of your screens. And finally, as always, we are being live telecasted and broadcast on our YouTube platform, Eman Channel. If you just type into YouTube Eman Channel, you'll find our YouTube account and you'll find the live program being broadcast now. And of course, if you want to ask any questions through YouTube and you're watching us now through YouTube, we will love to welcome your questions by submitting them into the comment section below, inshallah. And with that being said, we'll continue and we'll get on with the program. Sheikh, we have a question that's come through WhatsApp. During the summer in the UK, if we can call summer in the UK, Isha is late and Fajr is early. Is there any provision to combine Maghrib with Isha at the time of Maghrib?
Okay, so some of the scholars do allow combining the salawat, and there are some madhahib that don't do this at all. So if the person is from other than the Hanafi madhab, then there is an allowance, especially with the Hanabila, the Shafi'iyya, etc., for combining prayers when there is difficulty. So it can be done when there is a real difficulty. But right now in the UK, so the person mentioned they are from the UK, the masajid are taking a view that they pray Isha, and it's come down to about 10:15 now, between 10:15, 10:20, something like that. So when the masajid are praying like this, 10:15, 10:20, which is a reasonable time. It's not like the 11 o'clock that it was earlier on in the summer period. So one should definitely try to be in the masjid, especially for the men, obviously. So praying at that time, it doesn't make it too late, because most people in the summertime, especially when the children are off from school and people have taken holidays, they're staying up late anyway. Okay, people are staying up late because they're taking holidays, they don't have to wake up early. So one should definitely go to the masjid, pray in the masjid in congregation, take your children with you to the masjid, and 10:20, 10:30 even in the summertime, praying in the masjid when Fajr in the masjid now, many of the masajid between 4:30, 4:45. It's very, very doable. If you go pray in the masjid at around 10:30, let's say 10:30, then you go home and go to sleep. Okay, go home and go to sleep. So you're in bed by 11 o'clock, 11:15. Okay, and then Fajr in the masjid is around between 4:30 and 4:45. You have plenty of time to sleep, and then even after Fajr, you could come back and sleep. So, although there is an allowance, that allowance should not mean that you are constantly doing something which keeps you away from the jama'ah, the congregation in the masjid, and it should be used sparingly when you're feeling ill, you're feeling exhausted, there's something wrong, it's a problem. And then you combine and pray your Maghrib and your Isha at the same time, at Maghrib time, because of some kind of illness or some kind of problem. So, Allah knows best. We should try to do this, especially in these days of holidays. We should try to take our children, even for the late Salah, for Isha, because we know during the summer period and the holiday period, the children are going to sleep late anyway and waking up late in the mornings anyway. So Allah knows best, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. And our Sheikh mentioned the summer, and we're speaking about summer, kids being at home and so on. A lot of people complain, Sheikh, that there are no halal activities to do in the UK. It's quite boring. We don't know where to take our kids. We don't know where to go out with our wives. What would our Sheikh's response be in terms of there's nothing really halal to do, there's no halal alternatives here, maybe we should do a hijrah and move to to Dubai with some more money and so on. What would our Sheikh say in regards to this?
Yani, we do everything in life. We get on with life in general. In every single fashion, we go to the parks, we go to the different shops that are around, we go to the shopping malls, we go to the parks and the different types of events that are around. Yani, where is there nothing to do? You go to the kids' play areas. Yeah, there are issues. Yeah, okay, there are issues that are contravening Islam. Yet, that's the society that we live in. It doesn't mean that you can't do certain things. Okay, let's take an example of the local parks. Yeah, in the mornings, who's in the local parks? It's people with young children. What's the haram in that? People with their kids, they're looking after them, they're letting their kids have fun, etc. And normally before 1 o'clock, you find it's the young kids and the parents. Okay, people dress inappropriately, but that's everywhere. You just walk out the street, you're going to the masjid, people are dressed inappropriately anyway. We still live. We go to work with all of this going on. So it's not a real issue. It's not a real issue. We as Muslims can live as Muslims and get on with our lives and take our families to places and take our families to the parks and the open fields and where there's games and entertainment things where they can play. They have so many social activities. It's all available. If you look for it and if you want to, you can get on with it. And at the same time, say if there was an area, because it does happen, people who live away from lots of Muslims, they live on the outskirts somewhere and predominantly the communities are non-Muslim, etc. They have a lot more countryside anyway. They can go for these types of walks and they have more playing areas, but they won't have that Muslim feel. Okay, if you don't have it in your community, then we should initiate something. Go to places where it is available. Go to, try to move to areas where there's more Muslims, or at least travel to those areas for those activities during the summer. We do everything else. Many of us can't afford to travel abroad, for instance, during these times because it's very expensive. As soon as the holidays kick in, the prices for all of these things shoot up.
Yeah.
So we're not alone in this. The Muslim or the non-Muslim is looking for activities, and there are so many things that the non-Muslims come up with because they put the effort in. And alhamdulillah, Muslims are doing the same kind of thing as well. There's so many activities that Muslims are setting up because there is a need. And if they're not around in your area, then this is where we need to be proactive. Set them up. If you set something up, more people will be inspired to set these things up, and then you will have that huge movement to take care of our kids with better types of entertainment, better types of activities, more in line with our values of Islam than they have ever been in our lives. So let's not be those who sit back and complain only. Let's push forward and be proactive. And let's go travel a bit, because in the summer you make that time to travel for your children. And the more we do this, the better those activities will become. And if you find fault in some of those organizations or activities, then help them. Produce something better. Because the more there is, the better it will become for everyone. And Allah knows best.
Okay, inshallah. And Sheikh, regarding the children especially, how can we build, as parents, stronger relationships with our children as they are young, before they start going to school and going to teenage and developing their own personality and so on? What's the best way to capture the hearts of children? I know you're asking about children, but there's a general principle that applies for all relationships. Yeah, and also, Sheikh, these days, there's a general sort of idea that you should be friends with your children, right? Children should be like your friends. They should be able to tell you everything and so on. Is that true? Should we be like that? Should the relationship be like that, or should it be more like authority and Okay, Yani, that's the second issue that we can touch on.
any relationship requires investment. That's known. If you don't invest in a relationship, there won't be a relationship. Okay? And that is true with a child. The child, as every human being, and this is never going to change. Every human being needs to feel loved. And this is more of the case with a child, because they wear their hearts on their sleeves. As you grow older, you learn to mask those feelings and those characters that you have in you, and you learn to brush things off, and you become hardened, etc. But children, they have a clear need to be loved, which they wear on their sleeves, everyone to see, and they want to feel it more, and they need it more often. Okay, so these are your children. So if you want to have that relationship with them, then you need to give them time. Okay, yes, every single one of us is busy in the rat race that we have no choice but to be part of. Yeah, we need to provide for them food, shelter, clothing, all of the other things. Yes, that's true. That's very true. And that is both now, unfortunately, because the cost of living has escalated so far. You find both mothers and fathers are going through the same struggle. Everyone is so busy working that no one has time for each other, and therefore relationships break down. Because relationships require time, quality time, where you show the love that you have for those people that you want a relationship with. That is the greatest detriment that is happening to relationships right now. You know, the father is absent from the lives of the children. They hardly ever see him, if see him at all. But greater than that, because the owner of love, the one who can show it more than any man, is the woman, is the mother. Okay, why is it that the mother is given this position in the Sharia, that the mother, be good to your mother, be good to your mother, be good to your mother? The Prophet ﷺ said it 3 times before he mentioned the father. When the question was put to him, who deserves my good company more than anyone else? He said, the mother, the mother, the mother, 3 times before the father when it comes to good company. And he showing love, making that the environment of the house. The woman, the mother of the household, is the best place to this, because this is part of her fitrah, her innate nature that Allah created her on. Now we have mothers out of the house, we have fathers out of the house. Who's showing that love to the children? When they don't feel it, they're going to be looking for it elsewhere. And where will they find it? With people who want to exploit them. Whether online or in the world outside, from their peers and those people who are controlling the peers in the gangs and everything else. So this is the first issue that needs to be addressed. Giving time and attention and investment to your relationship with your children. Okay? It's not about the money and the amounts you spend on them. It's about showing them the love, making them feel love from you. Right? The second issue, should it be the parenting model of being a friend, or should it be the parenting model as there's a clear boundary, I'm the parent and you're the child? And Islamically, people are dealt with as they need to be dealt with. Every child needs to be shown love. Some children need to feel that friendship more so than others. But the parent has a position in Islam like no other. The child should always feel that they are my parent. So it's never going to be you're just their friend as if you're on the same level, because a parent in Islam is not on the same level as their child. The parent is a higher category. And the child must feel that respect and honoring and venerating their parents. But they also need to feel the love descending from their parents upon them and in the family in general. That is the structure of the family in Islam. Okay, there's nothing wrong in having fun and having that friendship and closeness with your child. But there should be a clear understanding that the parent is at the top of the hierarchy in the family structure. That's how Allah has defined it for us in Islam. So that should never change. But at the same time, that should not prevent love being shown. The Prophet ﷺ is our role model, and he showed love and affection to the whole of this ummah and his children. Yet, he was our father, our spiritual father, and remains our spiritual father, and we feel that honor and respect and veneration. We'll never be on the same level, yet we feel that love from him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Sorry, sir. Sheikh, we have about a minute left, inshallah. Are there any parting reminders or thoughts that our Sheikh would like to share, inshallah?
Yeah, and on this topic, we need to look at our families. And when I say our families don't mean just our children, or not even our parents and our siblings, or not even our extended family. Our family is the whole of this ummah. Okay? Al-Muslimu akhul Muslim. That the Muslim is the brother of the other Muslim. So let us remember this in our times where we're free. We have Muslims suffering in every corner of the earth. Especially when it comes to Palestine, when it comes to Yemen, when it comes to Sudan, and every other country that Muslims live. Remind yourself of your family in this time, but don't forget your greater family, the ummah. As Allah said, "Inna hadihi ummatukum ummatan wahida wa ana rabbukum fa'budun." That this is the nation of the Muslims, one nation, and I am your Lord. So worship me.
Ameen. Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. Brothers and sisters, we reach the ending of today's program. Inshallah, we'll be back with you again tomorrow, 8 p.m. As we go over for Maghrib Salah now. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.